Okay, right, grade 12s. We are going to discuss market structure. And remember, market structure is in paper 2. And if you still bear in mind, this market structure carries a lot of information in paper 2. So now, if you do lack in market structure, it means that you are going to be negatively affected. Okay, right. So now, I'm going to give the clarity on this market structure. What is the market structure before we can actually go deeper? Okay, right. So now, grade 12s, when we talk of the market structure we refer to how the market is actually organized. So now, we have two types of the market structure, where one type is based on perfect competition or pure market, and then the other one is impure market. So now, the one under pure market, we are saying that this market is perfect. Why? Because it takes into account one of the characteristics, like a large number of buyers and sellers, and also the information here, the flow of information here is totally complete. You are allowed to go to the market, then ask for any particular type of information, and it will actually be given to you. So now, also under this pure market, the products that are being sold under this pure market, they are identical, homogeneous, or they are same, or they are common. And also, when it comes to what price control under this market structure, which is pure market, all businesses are supposed to take or abide by the prevailing market prices. No business sets its own price, but they have actually what are supposed to take the prevailing market price. So why should they take the prevailing market price? They should take the prevailing market price because the moment they charge the price that is much different from the prevailing market price, it's either customers are going to run away from their own businesses and seek for other businesses to buy from. Because remember, we said that this is the market that is characterized by a lot of buyers and sellers. So now, in return, if a business charges a price that is much deviating from the prevailing market price, then in that regard, that business is going to collect less amount of profits or it will operate on loss. Okay, right. So now we also have impure market. So impure market, it's a market structure that is having less competition because here there are fewer number of buyers and sellers. So now under this market, we can take the likes of what? You can take the likes of the monopoly, the likes of monopolistic competition, and the likes of a duopoly. So now under monopoly, remember monopoly, we refer to that particular business that is alone in the market and it sells unique products. No other business sells the same product as that particular business. So now we also have what? We also have perfect competition. So perfect competition, we have these businesses. We have what? Monopolistic competition, and under monopolistic competition, we have this particular type of businesses that are fighting to be alone in the market. And then we have the likes of ShopRite, the likes of the Pick and Pay, the likes of Spar. We also have the likes of Checkers. So now as well, we have the duopoly market. Under duopoly market, we have those particular type of markets that are dominating the market. So here we can take the likes of Pepsi and Coca-Cola. So remember, under monopoly, we said it's a business that sells unique products and is alone in the market. So in this regard, examples of the monopoly businesses here in South Africa, we can point out the likes of Eskom, we can point out the likes of De Beers, we can point out the likes of Denel, we can as well point out the likes of Transnet. So now those are the businesses here in South Africa that are selling unique products. They don't have competition at all. So now remember, we also have different types of these monopolies. We have the monopoly that is actually artificial. We also have the monopoly that is actually natural. So some of the monopolies, they are there as monopolies because of a lot of amount that is supposed to be spent on vectors of production, or what the development costs are very high. So now we also have the likes of artificial, where artificial now it is what is this monopoly because now it has a lot of patent. It also have a lot of licenses that are required so that you can register as one of the monopoly businesses here in South Africa. Okay, right. So now let's check the behavior of the demand curve under each and every market structure, or under each and every market. So now I'm going to start with the what? I'm going to start with the per market. So now remember, we said per market is classified with large number of buyers and sellers. And then all businesses in this market have to abide by or take the prevailing market price. So now that is why under this market, the demand curve is going to behave what is going to be horizontal. Why is it horizontal? Because all businesses set the same price. So now it means that in this regard, the price is going to be equivalent to average revenues. And also these prices, they're going to be equivalent to demand curve. And also these prices are going to be equivalent to our marginal revenues. Okay, right. So now let's check the demand curve for monopoly as well as monopolistic competition. So the demand curve for monopoly and monopolistic competition, they are more or less the same, but now what differs is how they are normally drawn, but the appearance is still the same. The only gap that appears there, the one for monopoly is much not wide, and then the one for monopolistic competition is much wider. So now the behavior of the demand curve of monopolistic competition and monopoly, their demand curve is downward sloping. So it shows that it obeys the law of demand that states that there is an inverse or negative relationship between the price of the product and quantity demanded. But when it comes to duopoly, the demand curve under duopoly, it is somehow very kinked. So it means that it is a kinked demand curve. Okay, right. So now, when we lay our eyes here, surely I've given you much information on the summary based on this market structure. So also one might ask, what do we mean by a word market? When we talk of a word market, market will refer to a platform where goods and services are being bought and sold. So now what does it involve when you talk of the platform? We are saying that the market can be categorized into two categories, where the transactions are actually being performed on the ground physically, and also where transactions are being performed electronically or using the internet. So now those are the two platforms that you normally engage in when we settle for goods and services. Okay, right. So now here briefly describe the concept perfect competition. As I did give you the summary on this perfect competition, I'm going to go deeper in depth so that we can understand what this perfect competition normally entails. So now it says that perfect competition occurs when none of the individual market participants can influence the market price of the product. If you still remember grade 12, I did say that from the beginning or from my introduction that all businesses under the fair market, they are price takers, meaning that no business can influence the price in the market, but what they must do, they must take the prevailing market price instead of setting their own prices. What is the danger for businesses to set their own prices? If businesses normally set their own prices, that is totally different from the prevailing market price. It means that they are not going to generate enough profit. So remember, grade 12, the measure aim or the measure essence of lending into a business is to generate profit. So now, if now you are no longer generating a profit, then it means that there's no need for you to engage in that particular business. Okay, right. So now let's check let's check the information that is actually been provided, and hopefully I did explain why we're saying that no business or no market participant can actually influence the market price of the product. Okay, right. A participant in a pair market is insignificant because it is a very small part of the total market. So now, if you still remember, we said that under this pair market or pair competition, we have lot or large number of buyers and sellers, and no business is more significant compared to other businesses. And also, there's no business in this regard that we can actually say that it does dominate the market. All businesses have to take the prevailing market prices that is there in the market. Okay, so for an example, an individual business is so small that it has no control over the market price. Okay, right, grade 12s, I did explain this. Okay, so now let's check the characteristics that are in line with the public competition. So now these are the characteristics that are in line with the market. Okay, right. Examine the following characteristics of a per market. So now I'm going to explain each and every characteristic of the per market. So number one, we have what it has large number of buyers and sellers. So now when it says that it has large number of buyers and sellers, what it does mean is that there are a lot of businesses in the market. Because remember, one of the examples of this per market where we have the likes of the street vendors, and if you check, the street vendors are all over South Africa, and also not only in South Africa, even in other countries, street vendors, they make good good example of the per market. Also, another per market can be Johannesburg Stock Exchange or Johannesburg Security Exchange. As well, Johannesburg Security Exchange, remember, is a platform where buyers and sellers of shares normally interact. So now there are a large number of our investors in South Africa that are seeking to buy shares from other businesses. So now on the side of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange as the platform, it makes sure that also it registers all those businesses or the businesses that are in need or are seeking for investors. So they normally register with Johannesburg Stock Exchange so that they can access the buyers. So there are a large number of those businesses in that platform of Johannesburg Stock Exchange who are selling securities, and also there are large numbers of buyers of those securities that we call investors. So they normally as well go to that platform so as to access the information concerning those businesses that are selling the part of ownership. Okay, right. So also under this per market, we have an example such as agriculture or farming. Farming also, if you check, is one of the examples of the per market, even though it's not 100% 100% per market, but it has large number of producers, and also we have a large number of people who are in need of the producer by the farmers. Okay, right. So now the second one, we have many sellers are price takers. So now this one, when you say that many sellers are price takers, what you normally say is that no business in this regard can actually charge their own price. They must always take the prevailing market price. Why? Because all businesses are selling with the same price. So now if you want to attract much of the customers or most of the customers, what you must do, instead of playing around with the prices, but you must use what you call non-pricing strategy to make sure that you win the customers. Instead of tempting with the price, you can make sure that you advertise your product in a manner that can attract a lot of customers, and also you should make sure that the services that you provide there, you normally care for the customers. Remember, customers they become very special, or they feel very special if they are being asked a feedback after they have consumed a certain product, or after they have rendered a certain service, or they have actually received a certain service. So in that regard, if you do that as a businessman or a business woman or as an entrepreneur, then you are going to win a lot of customers. But grade 12s, bear in mind that under this regard, all businesses under this market, which is perfect, then they are considered to be price takers, meaning they take the prevailing market price. And also remember, the demand curve for this businesses is going to be horizontal. Okay, right. So now moving on, we have no provincial treatment. So it means that all businesses in this regard, they are having the same treatment. And remember, I said it from the start that under the payment market, we have large number of buyers and sellers. So there's no business that has been that is actually special, or there's no business that you can say this one dominates the market. No. Okay, right. So now also we have another characteristics, another characteristic that says that no collusion between sellers. What does it mean? It means that no businesses are allowed to join any venture. They shouldn't join any venture. They shouldn't amalgamate. They shouldn't join any alliance. They shouldn't even merge. Why is that the case? Because remember, according to Competition Act in South Africa, it says no to businesses joining venture, or says no to businesses merging, or says no to businesses amalgamating, or says no to businesses forming any particular type of alliance. Why is that the case? Because the moment businesses joint venture, or the moment businesses now form alliance, or the more businesses now work together, it means that now customers are going to be disadvantaged. In that regard, customers can easily be exploited. So that is why, according to South African Competition Act, says that no collusion between sellers. So even in this regard, it means that one of the characteristics of the payment market is that there shouldn't be any collusion. Businesses shouldn't join venture, because in that regard, consumers or buyers of goods and services are going to be negatively affected. So hence why now they are expected to operate in a way that they are independent of one another. Okay, right. You still remember we have a body on the ground that makes sure that businesses don't collide, and that body we call it competition commission. So now competition commission, we refer to that body that normally goes on the ground to make sure that businesses don't form collusion. So in particular, when these businesses are operating under the payment market, to form collusion is like an insult to that Competition Act. Okay, right. So now as well, when we're still talking of this competition commission, sometimes you find that when competition commission body is there on the ground, and then they find out that there are those businesses that have formed collusion, what they normally do, they try by all means to stop that. But sometimes you find that it's not easy for that particular body to stop the collusion at the ground. But if they fail, then they pass such a case to the competition tribunal. So now this competition tribunal is going to Is going to make sure that they give their own judgment whether those businesses should stop this collusion or they must continue collusion. But obviously this one is straightforward. No business is allowed to form any collusion or any alliance, or to merge, or to form any amalgamation. But now sometimes we find that even this competition tribunal, they fail to solve that issue on the ground. Then they pass it to competition appeal. So meaning appeal court is the one in this regard that is going to deal with the matter. And there's no way that this case can fail to be dealt with at appeal court. So now appeal court in this regard, then will take out the decision, and then they give the information to competition tribunal. Then competition tribunal now give the decision to competition commission. Then competition commission will make sure that they liaise, or they meet with those businesses on the field, on the ground, that are normally acting against Competition Act of South Africa. Okay, right. So now moving on, we have another characteristic that says that there is a complete freedom of entry and exit. What does it mean? It means that there are no barriers for new businesses to enter the market, and also for those businesses that have been in the market for a quite long period of time. If they want to leave the market or exit the market, there's no one who is going to stop them, or there's no rule, or there's no legislation that will stop them from leaving the market. So that is why we're actually saying that there is a complete freedom of entry and exit. Okay, right. So now also say that buyers and sellers have full information. What does it mean? It means that under this particular type of market, if our consumers normally go on the ground to inquire any information pertaining to the product that are being sold or the product that are on the market. So now the information is actually being given to them freely. No one will need even a cent for providing them with that particular information. So okay, right. Why is this information free? This information is actually free because now most of these businesses, remember, they sell the same product, or the same homogeneous product, the same the common product. So now there's no way that information can be deprived from them. Okay, right. So now we also have another characteristics that takes into account the type of the product that have been sold in this market. So now most of the products that have been sold in this market, they are identical. So that is why you see that it is very difficult for these businesses to sell their own their own product, because you find that you are selling the same product with the person that is competing with you, and the businesses are clustered together. So now the moment when you change the price of your product, now customers are going to run away from you, and then they go to join other businesses. Then in that regard, it means that now your market share is going to be very, very small. So okay, right. So now another one, we're actually saying that all vectors of production are completely mobile. So remember, when we talk grade 12, when we talk of vectors of production, we refer to the inputs that are necessarily needed by businesses to process or manufacture goods and services. So there's no way that goods and services can easily be manufactured. There's no way that goods and services can easily be processed without engaging the use of vectors of production. So now if you check in these vectors of production, we have the likes of capital. And remember, when you talk of capital, we refer to assets or monies that can be used to start up a business. So there's no way that a business can be up and running without engaging the use of without engaging the use of assets as well as monies. Okay, the next one we have labor. Labor will refer to both mental and physical efforts that are normally being applied towards processing or manufacturing goods and services. So now, in order for goods and services to be processed, we need human beings to come up there with their own skills. Whether it is a person who is skilled, whether it is a person who is semi-skilled, or whether it is a person who is unskilled now applying physique to solve problems or to perform the duties, those people are needed so that there can be a smooth production or processing of goods and services. And also we have the likes of our natural resources, and in this regard, under natural resources, my preference lies with land. There's no way that businesses can operate without the use of land. So now it means that for businesses to operate, they should have a land where they operate from. Even if that particular business operates online, but they should have a land to operate from. Okay, right. So now the last example of the vectors of production, we have the likes of entrepreneurship. So in this regard, grade 12s, make sure that you know how to distinguish between entrepreneurship and entrepreneur. When you talk of an entrepreneurship, now we talk of a process, but an entrepreneur is a person. So now an entrepreneurship is a process whereby vectors of production are being combined to make profit. That is entrepreneurship. But when it comes to an entrepreneur, we say that an entrepreneur is a person who is able to combine all vectors of production so as to generate profit. So remember, I did give out examples of those vectors of production that can actually be combined by an entrepreneur so as to make profit. So now we have the likes of capital, the likes of labor, as well as the likes of land. So now when we say that vectors of production are mobile, we mean that they are movable. They are not fixed at one point. Just like in Gauteng. If you check in Gauteng, most of labor is fixed here in Gauteng. Go to rural areas. There at rural areas, we have most of our unskilled people. And now that is why it is so difficult for businesses in rural areas to recruit skilled individual, because now this labor is fixed here in Gauteng province. Now also let's check the likes of land. If you go to rural areas, you see that rural areas we have plenty of land there. So now, but here in Gauteng, there's no land. We have insufficient or inadequate availability of land. So now it means that here in South Africa, for businesses to grow, or even for individuals to end up having their own land, now it's going to be a struggle. They have to pump out a lot of money. But now under per market, we are saying that that is the story for yesterday. Here, vectors of productions are movable. They can move from one point to the next. If you still remember in order for market to be perfect, there should be a free movement of these vectors of production. So if you can just take your mind off towards market failure. When you talk of a market failure, remember, is where now we have the discrepancy between supply and as well as demand. So the moment there is a mismatch between demand and supply, then we are going to have a market failure. And if you still remember, one of the causes of the market failure is immobility of vectors of production. So now if vectors of production are immobile, then it means that the market in that regard is going to fail, meaning that there is going to be a difference between demand and supply. So but now under per market, we are saying that these vectors of production, they are mobile, because now demand and supply are always equal. When we say demand and supply are always equal, and now the market is perfect, what does that necessarily mean? It means that on the supply side, whatsoever businesses produce, whatsoever businesses process, it should be bought by consumers. So that is why now no business is processing goods and services with the expectation of selling a portion of it, and now the remaining. No. Whensoever they produce goods and services, they have that in mind, that whatsoever we have produced or manufactured or processed should be bought. Okay, right. So now, Christophs, let's move on to the demand for a product of a firm in a per market. So now, if you still remember, I did explain this in my introduction, saying that under the per market, the demand curve is horizontal. What does it imply when it's horizontal? It implies that the price of the product is the same throughout. It cuts across all the market, is the same as long as they are operating under this market. And also it shows that the average revenue is also equivalent or equal to the price. So also it says that the marginal revenues as well, they're equivalent to the average revenues as well as the prevailing market price. Okay, right, Christophs. So now let's check the information given. It says that in a per market, the market price of a product is determined by supply and demand. So now let's check out the difference between supply and demand. What is this supply and what is this demand? When you talk of the word supply, we refer to what? We refer to the willingness and ability by businesses to produce goods and services so that they can easily sell it to consumers. I'll come again. When you talk of a supply, we refer to willingness and ability to sell goods and services by businesses. Meaning in this regard, businesses should be having that willingness. Willingness, it means the desire to sell. And then the ability, we mean the affordability. Do they afford to spend on the vectors of production so that they can easily or smoothly process goods and services? So now also we have the demand. So when we talk of demand as well, now we refer to the willingness and ability to buy goods and services by what? By consumers or by buyers. So now it means in this regard, when we talk of the willingness under demand, it means what you prefer, what you mostly prefer, what is your taste. And then also when it comes to our ability, also we check affordability in terms of money. Whatsoever that you are craving for or you are willing for, are you able to afford it in terms of what? In terms of a monetary form. Okay, right. So now the individual firm is a price taker and can sell as many of the product as it chooses to at the market price. Why are they not saying that at their own price? Because the moment any business deviates from this prevailing market price, it means that it is not going to generate any form of profit. Because now, remember, they sell the same product with the same quality, sometimes the same quality. And I told you that if as a business you want to take step ahead in front of your competitors or in front of your friends, what you must do now is to play around the marketing. Make sure that you market your product. Also, the services should be excellent. You must have customer care services. Okay, right. So now none of the firms will sell the same product at a higher price than the current price. I did explain this, and as well the danger or the challenge of selling with the price that deviates from the market price. Remember, I said the business won't generate any form of profit. So now, as they will lose customers to competitors. So I did explain this one in my introduction. Okay, right. Firms will not lower the price of the product below the current market price either, because the moment you lower the price below the prevailing market price, it means that already when you're going to sell your products with a lesser amount. Yes, you can have large customers or a lot of customers to come to your business to support you, but now in essence you are not going to make any profit. Remember, we don't start a business just because you want to give back to any community. We start the business because we have the mentality or the aim of generating a profit. Okay, right. So now, as they can sell as many of the product as they want to at a higher market price, but still the business won't make any form of the profit. So now the demand curve for individual firm will run horizontally. I did explain this, and also I did give you the implications why the demand curve should always run horizontally. Okay, right, grade 12. So now if you check here, we have figure 1. Where now figure 1 shows it shows the demand curve as well as the supply curve. So now this demand curve is the demand curve for individual firms. This is the demand curve for individual firm, and then the demand curve for individual firm should always run downward, meaning it should always be downward sloping. Why is it always downward sloping? It is always downward sloping because it obeys law of demand. And remember, law of demand states that the moment the prices of goods and services are very high, the quantity demanded for those particular products is going to decline. So now reverse is the case, meaning that as well, if the prices of goods and services in the market are very high, then it means that now the quantity demanded for that particular product is going to be very, very less. Okay, so now let's check let's check the supply curve. Then if you check the supply curve in this regard, the supply curve is upward sloping. And then why is it upward sloping? One of the reasons why it is upward sloping, it is because it obeys law of supply. And law of supply states that the higher the price of the product, the higher the quantity supplied by firms. What does it mean? It means that there is a positive relationship between the price of the product and the quantity supplied by firms. The moment the price of the product increases in the market, then you see a lot of firms coming to join the market. That's what we mean. So that is why the market, the supply curve, it is always pointing or sloping upward. So now where we have the interaction of the supply curve and the demand curve. So now that's where we have equilibrium. Equilibrium is where we have the equitability of supply and demand. It means in this regard is the point where supply and demand intersect one another. Okay, right. So now this one is the individual This is the individual demand curve. So now let's check the single demand curve, or the single demand curve or an industry. Remember, when we talk of an industry, we refer to what? We refer to a group of businesses that are operating under the same discipline, meaning these are a group of businesses that are selling the same product. That is why we have the likes of food industry. When you talk of food industry, it means that we are referring to all those businesses that are selling food. And you also have businesses that are under mining, and then those businesses, we call them mining industry, meaning that those are businesses that are operating under extraction of minerals or extraction of metals. Okay, we also have a clothing industry. We refer to those businesses that are selling clothing. So now, guys, let's check how this demand curve and how demand curve and pavement market do behave. Remember, I said that we have price, and then we also have what average revenue, and this average revenue should always be equivalent to marginal revenue, which is equivalent to demand. What do we mean by what? What do we mean by marginal revenue? Marginal revenue, remember, marginal. Let's start with the word marginal. Whenever we talk of a word marginal under economics, we refer to what? We refer to an additional. So now, when we talk of what marginal revenue, we check an additional amount of income that comes inside the business once the business has actually have what? An additional extra cost. Again, because now if a business engage in one additional extra cost, also will be expecting one additional extra revenues. So now remember, grade 12 always, whenever you are dealing with the graphing, you should always identify your x-axis, and now x-axis should always be labeled. In this regard, under economics, remember our x-axis normally we have quantity, and then our y-axis normally we have price. So now remember, grade 12, I normally tell you that whenever you are dealing with economics, you can't, it is very difficult to understand economics concepts when you don't have pure maths background. Yes, you can try economics with maths light or maths lit, but now remember, maths lit is just an awareness. It doesn't go deeper into concepts. So now that is why it needs it needs a proper background of pure maths. Okay, right. So now, if you still remember here, we are also going to have a marginal cost. So marginal cost, remember, is a Nike sign. Even when you are drawing the demand curve, or also when you are showing whether the business is operating on normal profits, economic profits, or economic loss, you should always make sure that you indicate the marginal curve, cost curve, and also you should as well show how the averages are going to behave. So now this one is going to be your average revenue. So now remember, the average revenue should always be concave, and when it's concave, it is just going to be very easy for you to know that if I want to indicate the normal profits, my average revenue should always be concave. And then also your marginal cost curve is going to cut the average revenue curve at the minimal point, and as well as cutting the marginal revenue curve at this level. So now remember, at this level, that's where we have marginal cost being equivalent to marginal revenue. And now, if you still remember, this is the condition of the pavement market. The moment marginal cost is equivalent to marginal revenue, it means that in this regard, profits are being maximized. So now, any business that is going to operate beyond this point, it means that now they are going to generate loss. How is that possible? It is possible because now, if you check the marginal cost curve, it is now above the marginal revenue curve, of which the moment marginal revenue curve is above, the moment marginal cost curve is above marginal revenue curve. In this regard, businesses are going to operate on a loss, and the moment they operate on a loss, that will call for a shutdown period. So remember, under economics, whenever we talk of a shutdown period, we don't necessarily mean that the business is closing down. What we mean, that businesses are not operating in a sense of making profits so that they can expand. It doesn't operate in a sense that making profits that they can even increase the salaries and wages of people that are working for them, even as much as spending more on explicit costs and implicit costs. Remember, there's a distinction between explicit costs and implicit costs. There are those costs that are fixed in the business that the business should always spend on monthly basis, and there are those costs that are not fixed. They do vary, such as maintenance. So those are implicit costs. But now explicit costs are always fixed, and also businesses are always ought to spend much on this fixed cost. And remember, examples of the spending here, it is towards acquisition of the vectors of production or the inputs of our production, and also this is in line with the utility bills. Utility bills we refer to what bills in line with water, bills in line with electricity, and the likes. And also this what explicit cost spending also is in line with the salaries and wages of the employees. But when it comes to implicit costs, these are the spending that are normally vary. They vary, they are not fixed. You find this month a business has spent fixing maybe a photocopy machine. The next month, instead of now fixing a photocopy machine because it's already fixed, now the business will be fixing maybe a delivery car. That's how these costs differ. Okay, right, grade 12s. So show you guys, you understand now the behavior of this individual of these firms. So now if you check here, I already explained this one in figure what. I've already explained this one in figure what, in figure 2, that the demand curve under this regard is going to be horizontal. But now if you check here, we can have one here, we can have one quantity 2 here, we can have quantity 3 here, we can have quantity 4 here, we can have quantity 5. What does it mean? It means that businesses can only change the quantity. There's no way that they can tempt with changing of the price, because the moment they tempt changing the price, that's when now they are going to deviate from the prevailing market price. Now they charge their own price, hence are generating loss. Why? Because now it's either they charge lower or they charge higher prices than the prevailing market price, but still the businesses will generate loss. But in this regard, you see that with the same price, they can sell different quantities. They can sell different quantities. Maybe with the same price, a business can order to sell one quantity, or can order to sell 2 quantities, or can order to sell 3 quantities. It only lies with the preference of the business. But now, do you see that if you check, once businesses now sell 2 quantities with the same price, that calls for a loss. Also, once businesses sell the same quantity, 3 quantities with the same price as well, that is going to generate a loss. Now, because now check now with the amount that should be sold for 1 quantity, now they are going to sell 3 quantities. That is why grade 12, I told you that yes, we have as well non-pricing approach if you want to attract as many customers as you do desire. The moment you approach that with a non-pricing technique, then it means that you are going to win. I told you that make sure that you have aggressive advertising approach. Aggressive advertising approach, advertise almost in each and every platform. On radio, you are there. TV, you are there. Social media, you are there. Twitter, you are there. When it comes to Facebook, you are there. When it comes to WhatsApp, you are there. To go, you are there. All the platforms, you should be there. As well as the billboards, you are there. Also, word of mouth, you are there. Also, use of emails, you are there. So in that regard, it means that you are going to reach mass volume of buyers or consumers. Then in that regard, they will know that your business is in existence. Now, at the end of the day, if you give out as well proper customer care or proper service, these customers that you have serviced, ask for the feedback before they leave your business. After they have given you the feedback, they can as well go out there, then market for your business just because of how you have treated them. So it means in that regard, they will be doing the approach that we call word of mouth advertising approach, of which you are not going to even spend cent on it. Okay, right. So now surely grade 12s, you all understand the behavior of this individual, of this individual firm. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the concepts. So most of if you can check grade 12s, most of these concepts I did give them in my introductions. So now that is why I'm just going to polish over whenever we go deeper. Okay, right. So now economists. Remember, when you talk of economists, we refer to individuals like myself who studied economics in depth. Not someone who just studied one module of economics, but economists, people studied all modules for economics, and now they are applying the skills that they have learned in those modules. Remember, here we have areas such as monetary economics, we have areas such as natural resources in economics, we have areas such as environmental economics, we have areas such as project approval economics, we have areas such as investment economics, we have areas such as political economics, we have areas such as social economics and the likes. So now those people who studied those areas or discipline, we call them an economist. You can't be an economist when you studied only one module of economics or two modules of economics. Now you start naming yourself an economist. No. Okay, right. So now economists determine the cost of production. The cost of production by taking both implicit and explicit costs. Okay, great. Remember, I did explain these are two concepts, which is explicit cost and implicit cost. So now let's check the cost of production. Or before we can go to the cost of production, let's first explain the meaning of this word cost. Because I've seen most of you grade 12s, when it comes to the distinction between a word cost and a word price, you don't know how to differentiate the two. When you talk of the price, we refer to the value of the product. Price, we refer to the amount that has been charged by businesses towards consumers on a product. That is the word, that is the price. But when it comes to cost we refer to what? We refer to expenses that are being incurred by businesses to acquire vectors of production. That is cost. Cost, we refer to expenses that are incurred by businesses in order for them to acquire inputs or vectors of production necessary to process goods and services. Surely in this regard, you understand the difference between the cost and the price, grade 12. Okay, right. So now let's check the explicit cost. I did explain, remember, the explicit cost. So the explicit cost is the actual expenditure incurred by enterprise to buy or hire inputs. I did give this. I said explicit cost, we refer to the cost that is actually being incurred by the businesses, or we refer to expenses incurred by the businesses in order for those businesses to acquire vectors of production. And then we said that examples of these explicit costs, we have the likes or the payment towards what? Towards labor. Remember, after labor has rendered any service, or after labor has actually done a job, they should be remunerated. And now when they are remunerated, that spending on the side of the business, we call it explicit expense or explicit cost, meaning the spending on salaries and wages. And then also we have the spending on utilities like electricity, water. Also we have the spendings in line with what? In line with any fixed amount that businesses should always incur. Okay, right. So now remember, explicit costs are always fixed, and I did explain why they are saying they are fixed, because each and every month businesses should pay for the inputs of vectors of production. Also we have implicit. Remember the implicit one, I said these are the spending of the businesses by the businesses, and this spending, they are not fixed. They normally vary. They are not fixed. And here, remember, I gave an example of what? I gave an example of maintenance in most cases. Like even a business, there is a machine. For a copy machine that is no longer functioning properly, it needs some maintenance. So this month, a business will spend on maintaining that photocopy machine. But the next month, it means that the business would have done fixing the photocopy machine. Now maybe they have to concentrate on other maintenance, such as a car maintenance or any other form of maintenance. So now this one, it is not a must for businesses to engage on them, but you should always know the classification of the costs that you normally have. So now, according to the given information, it says that these implicit costs it does refer to the value of inputs owned by the enterprise itself, utilized in the production process. So I did explain that. So short run, we have short run. We have short run and long run. So now, when we talk of a short run and long run, short run or long run, we refer to a period. This is a period in terms of numerical value of years. That's the short run that we are referring to and the long run that we are referring to. So now here, let's check the short run and the long run. So now also when you explain the short run and long run grade 12, it means that always take into account the use of vectors of production. So it means that vectors of production, they are the engine of economics, because now the moment you engage into any form of explanation or illustration without using vectors of production, it means that you are going to be lost. So now let's check what short run. So short run is where most of these vectors of production are fixed, or one of the vectors of production is fixed in the short run. But in the long run, it's a period. Short run is a period where one of the vectors of productions is what is fixed. That is the short run. That's how you explain short run. Short run is a period where one of the vectors of production is fixed. But when it comes to long run is a period where all vectors of production do vary. It means all vectors of production in this regard, they are not fixed. So now let's check out the difference using a live example. So remember, I told you that grade 12s, we have vectors of production where we have labor, we have land, we have entrepreneurship, as well as capital. So now let's check on the side of rent. So normally, when you are staying in an apartment where you are renting, the landlord can't increase the rent within the period of 12 months. It is not easy, and it is not as well practical. So that is why we are saying that our vectors of production within this period, they are fixed. Why? Because it is not easy for the landlord to increase your rent that you are paying, whether it can be residential place or it can be commercial place. They should wait for 12 months to elapse. Now, after the elapsing of 12 months, that's when now they can increase the rent. The same thing applies with capital. Say you go to the bank to take a loan. So now the interest, if they charge you a certain interest, or the rate of interest, say 20%, so you are going to pay that 20% of the amount that you have taken from the bank within the period of 12 months. But now after that 12 months has elapsed, that's when now they can say, okay, you can increase the interest that you have been paying. Also, the same thing applies with the wages and salaries. For businesses or for employers to increase the salaries and wages within the period of our 12 months, it's not easy. But they can increase or review your salaries after the period of 12 months. That's why now we say that, okay, this is the essence of short run, and also this is the essence of long run. So in this regard, it means that now long run, we are going to check long run after the completion of 12 months. After the completion of 12 months, then moving forward, you can say, okay, this is the period of long run. So now you understand what we mean by long run, grade 12s, and also understand what we mean by word short run. Okay, so now let's check what is given to us as the notes. So the short run refers to a period of time that is so short that the enterprise is not able to alter the size, but only the utilization of its production plan. So that is why is it not alter in this regard? When we say alter, we say change. So now it means that in this regard, it is not easy for a business to change. Maybe it has been operating on a small scale, so it is not easy for it now to change from small scale to medium scale or long scale. So now, or large scale. So now it has to take 12 months period before it can change to any size. Okay, right. So though the capacity of the firm remains unchanged in the short run, bear that in mind, even though on the statement is not given. Though the capacity of the firm remains unchanged, meaning in the short run, production is easily increased or decreased by altering the amount of labor and raw material used in the production process. So now remember, only labor can be changed, but not the compensation. The compensation won't change. But now we can either change from having unskilled labor. Also, if we're having one skilled labor, you can add more skilled labor. If you're having semi-skilled labor, it means you can add more skilled labor. If you're having unskilled labor, it now means that you have to add semi-skilled labor or skilled labor. So now that's what you can actually play around with. But you can't easily play around with what? You can easily play around with the remuneration for this labor. So now also let's check the raw material used in this production. So remember, this raw material that we are saying we are using, these are the what? These are the resources that are being used to process goods and services. They are raw because they haven't been processed. Now they need to be processed so that you can come up with what? With a finished product. Here we can have the likes of wood. Again, wood. Remember, wood is a raw resource. But now once we have processed this wood to a finisher, then a finisher will be considered as what? It will be considered as a finished product. Okay, right, grade 12s. So now let's move on. So now moving on, grade 12s, we have fixed and variable. What? Fixed and variable costs. This fixed and variable costs, I did explain them. When you talk of fixed costs, we talk of those costs that are not changing. They are constant. But variable costs, we refer to costs that keep on what? That keep on changing. But these fixed, they are not changing at all. They are constant. But this one's normally what? This one's normally change. So now if you still remember grade 12, if we were together, I said that fixed costs here, these are our implicit costs. And now you know the implicit costs, what they do entail. And now this one of variable costs here, these are nothing but what? Fixed costs, I said these are explicit costs. But now this one of variable costs, they are implicit costs, and they are costs that normally differ from time to time. Okay, right. So now the costs incurred by a firm comprise both fixed and variable costs. The quantity of fixed inputs utilized in the production process cannot be changed in the short run. I did explain that. The price of rent for the land is fixed and represent the opportunity to cost of the land. So now what do we mean, grade 12s, by the word opportunity cost? When you talk of the opportunity cost, it is the cost of the foregone alternative that has been sacrificed. Meaning this is the cost of the alternative that was not chosen. This is the cost for the alternative that has been sacrificed. This is the cost for alternative that has been given up. So now let me make an example. You have 10 rand. So now if this 10 rand that you have 15 rand. Let me just say you have an example of 15 rand. So with this 15 rand, grade 12s, you want to buy chips. Also, you want to buy what? You want to buy chocolate. So now instead of buying chocolate, you buy what? You buy chips with your 15 rand. So now when you talk of the opportunity cost, we are not going to consider chips because already this is the opportunity you went for. So now let's check what? We are going to check the opportunity, the cost of the opportunity that you have left out, the cost of the opportunity that you have sacrificed, the cost of the opportunity that you have given up. So in this regard, it means that the opportunity cost, it would not be the cost of these chips because it's the opportunity that you went for, but now it is going to be the cost of this one that you didn't choose. That is why we say that by definition, opportunity cost is the cost of the foregone alternative, is the cost of the sacrificed alternative, is the cost for the product that was not what chosen. Okay, right, because here we are saying that it's opportunity cost because you want to check the extent or the limit. We have to check the extent of the opportunity that you have sacrificed, or the spending of that opportunity that you have sacrificed. Okay, right. So now let's check our grade 12. The quantity variable inputs utilized in the production can be changed in the short run. So now the price per labor unit is given and represent the opportunity cost of labor. So now the cost of labor for a firm is calculated by multiplying the price per labor unit by the quantity of labor units employed, although the price per labor unit is fixed. So the quantity of labor can easily be changed, and therefore the cost of labor normally vary. I did explain that. So now let's check the total what? Let's check the total fixed cost curve. Total fixed cost curve is represented through a straight line parallel to the axis, and then the fixed cost remains constant regardless of the level of production. So now the total variable cost curve has a reverse S shape that starts from the origin and increases with the decreasing rate up to a point from where it will decrease as at an increasing rate. So now the total cost curve has the same shape as that of the total variable cost curve. So accept that it does not start from the origin of the curve, but from the same point on the y-axis at the fixed cost curve. Thus, the vertical distance between the fixed cost curve and the total variable cost curve will always be equal to the fixed cost curve. So now I did explain as well the long run costs. So now remember long run costs. These are the what? These are the spending that are in line with what? In line with the variable what? Variable costs. And then remember variable costs are in line with the implicit what? Implicit costs. So now always bear in mind that's the case that is prevailing on the ground. Okay. So now the long run refers to a period of time that is long enough for enterprises refer to businesses to change the quantities of all their inputs utilized in the production process. So now this means that the capacity of the plant can be altered in the long run. So now remember I did explain this in there. So now in the long run all inputs are variable. So this means that all of the inputs utilized in the production process can be altered. So now guys, what do you mean by production, the word production? When you talk of the word production, we refer to processing or manufacturing of goods and services. That is the meaning of word production, processing or manufacturing of goods and services. Okay, right. So now let's say businesses can expand their capacity with the purchase of new equipment or bigger premises. But this can only be done in the long run. Because now in the short run, it is not easy for businesses to keep pumping money to buy new equipment. It is not also easy for businesses now to occupy bigger premises that are very costly to the business, and as well it is not easy for businesses now to open more branches. So now, but in the long run, since vectors of production normally vary, then it means that it is easy for businesses to engage into any form of expansion. Okay, right, grade 12s, surely we are still on the same page. Okay, there will be no fixed cost. There will be no fixed cost in the long run. Totally no fixed cost in the long run, because there's a flexibility of labor, there's a flexibility of land, there's a flexibility of entrepreneurship, and there's a flexibility of capital. Remember, why this flexibility? Because the accounting period is normally 12 months. So now after 12 months, we consider it to be what? The long run, because now even the remuneration of all those vectors of production can actually now engage into what? Engage into a change or a change. Okay, right. So now there will be no fixed cost, total fixed cost, and average fixed cost in the long run. Meaning in the long run, with this word fixed doesn't exist anymore. This word fixed exists in a short run, because when in a short run, remember we said that one of the vectors of vectors of production is what is fixed. But now in the long run normally goes with what is a variable or what varies. Variable or varies, it means that it changes from time to time. Okay, not constant at well. Okay, so now moving on, we have the revenues. So the revenues, the primary objective of the enterprise is to maximize profit. And now remember, we said that under economics, when you say profits are maximized, it means that whatsoever that you have spent to acquire those inputs should as well be equivalent to whatsoever that I have sold. So now that is why the profit maximization point, we are going to say that the condition for profit maximization, we are going to have marginal cost being equivalent to marginal revenues. Okay, right. So now let's check the total revenues, the behavior of the total revenues and the behavior of the total cost. So now total revenues, businesses earn money by selling their product. So remember, revenues, we refer to those monies that businesses collect after selling their product. That is revenue. Businesses, monies that businesses collect after selling their product. So now costs, we refer to the expenses that businesses incur so as to acquire vectors of production or so as to process goods and services. Okay, right. So now in most cases, when you calculate the profit, we are going to say total revenues minus total cost. So now why total revenues minus total cost? Because total revenues, we refer to monies that you have collected after selling the price. And then total cost, we refer to all the spendings that have been incurred in line with the production of goods and services. The spending should be in line with the production of goods and services. So now this total revenues should always be greater than what? Total cost. Why? Because now if total revenues are greater than total cost, it means that in that regard, the business would have been generated profit. But the moment your total cost whatsoever that was spent on production of goods and services now is higher or larger than what you have collected after selling, then that is a loss. And now once the business is operating on a loss, there is a red light for that. Okay, so now in most cases, when we calculate the total revenues, we check the price of the product. The price of the product, that was we check, then we multiply by what? We multiply by quantity. So now the moment we check the price of the product and then we multiply by the quantity, then it's going to give us the total revenues. But now when it comes to total cost, you're going to check all the costs that the business has incurred in terms of what the business has incurred in terms of our production, and also you're going to multiply with the quantity given. So now in that regard, then we'll know that it is easy for me to get to know how much spending has been incurred in terms of production and then how much money has been collected after selling the product. Okay, right, grade 12. So now moving on, if you check here, we are saying that total revenue is calculated by the number of products sold, which is Q, multiplied by the price of the product, which is P. Now we have that total revenue is going to be price times quantity. So now we also have the average revenue. So now normally averages, the moment you come across the word average, grade 12s under economics, know that we have total cost being divided by what? Being divided by the quantity. That's how you calculate your average. So now in this regard, you're saying that average revenue is the amount that is earned by the firm for every unit of output sold, and is calculated by dividing the total revenues. So now by the quantity of output. So now if you check here, grade 12s, if you check here, we have what? If you check here, we have the calculation of the average revenue. So now we are saying that for every unit of sold and calculated by dividing the total revenue. So now total revenue. Okay, this one, since you are dealing with the revenues, is going to be total revenues. But now average cost is going to be total cost divided by quantity, while average revenue is going to be what? Total revenues divided by quantity. Sorry, grade 12, that was a slight typo. Okay, right. So now let's check what? Let's check the marginals. So now marginal revenue is equivalent to what? Marginal revenue is equivalent to what? When you calculate marginal revenue, we have what? We have a change in total revenue divided by a change in what? In quantity. So now this are simple here. It denotes change. So it means that whenever you calculate marginal revenues, you're going to check or spot out the change in total revenues. Then you're going to divide that change in total revenues by the change in quantity. Okay, right. So now also the same thing applies when you calculate marginal cost. Marginal cost, you're going to say change in total cost divided by change in quantity. So now that's how you normally get to the marginal costs. Okay, right, grade 12. So now we have the summary of the market structure. So now I did explain this summary of the market structure. I did explain it. So now if you check here, this is the criteria that we normally use. You have the competition, then here we have the perfect competition. So now from monopolistic competition up until monopoly, we have what? We have the imperfect market. And now, remember I told you that under imperfect market, that's where now we have what? We have a slight difference from perfect market. So now when you check the nature of the firms, it says that under perfect market, we have so many number of buyers and what? And sellers. We have large number of buyers and sellers. Under monopolistic, that's where now we have said that each firm thinks others will not detect its action. So it means one action by the other then will influence the action of another business. And then also it is characterized by a few number of buyers and sellers. And remember here, I gave an example of what? Of Pick and Pay, examples of ShopRite, USAFE, also examples of Just ShopRite, and also example of what? Example of Checkers. So now under oligopoly, we say that there are so few firms must consider the others' actions and reactions. So now monopoly, remember, I said this one business in the market. So now we have nature of the product. I did say the nature of the product, meaning the type of the product. Here they are selling what? Homogeneous product, meaning same product. But here you are saying they are selling heterogeneous or differentiated product. What we mean here, the product that they are selling, if say they are selling what? There is a slight difference. If they are selling chicken, I'm making an example. If they are selling chicken, this chicken that they are selling, but they will be selling chicken with different menus. That's what it means. So now also here in the same manner, here we have what? We have a homogeneous or heterogeneous product. The same thing. Remember, here we are talking of what? Here we can talk an example of what? Of Coke and Pepsi. So now Coke and Pepsi, all of them, they are selling beverages. But now these beverages, if they say they sell what? They say a bev or beverages with cola, then you find that yes, cola is what is available or present in that particular bev. But now the taste is quite different. That is why now Coca-Cola is different from the taste of what? Of the Pepsi, even if they made that beverage out of what? Out of cola. Okay, right. So now here, remember, I said they sell the products that are unique. So now under, let's check the entry. Under perfect competition, it is complete information. I mean what? Entry is free. If you want to join, you are free to join. So under monopolistic competition, also if you want to join, you are free to join. But here it varies from free to restricted. So here, if you want to join oligopoly business, there is some paperwork to be completed. But when it comes to monopoly, it is what? Actually blocked. What does it mean when it says it actually blocked? Because there are a lot of expenses that should be what? That should be incurred here. And also there is a lot of our documentation that should be as well incurred. So now let's check the information under what? Under competition, it says complete. When it says complete, it means that no one can deprive you the information. And then we also have a monopolistic competition where we say it is incomplete. Meaning to get information here, it's not easy to give you the information concerning their menus. And also here oligopoly, if you want them to do what? If you want them to give you what? To give you the information concerning their product, it is not easy to give you the information. Here, it's complete. They can give you the information because they know you can't use that information. So now let's check coalition. Remember coalition, we said is when businesses normally joint venture or merge or amalgamate or form alliance. And so now it means in this regard, then it is impossible under fair market. That it's not allowed according to competition what? Competition Act policy. And also it is impossible for what? For monopolistic competition, but it is possible with what? With oligopoly. It is also unnecessary with what? With monopoly. It is unnecessary with monopoly because it is alone in the business. So control over the price. These ones are price takers. Under perfect competition, they can't influence any price. But now under monopolistic competition, they have a slight influence. They can influence the price, but they don't have fully influence. Okay, grade 12. So now if you check now, we also have what? We also have oligopoly. So now under oligopoly, we are saying what? We are saying control over the price. It is considerable, but less that is what done in monopoly. So now what does it mean? It means that under oligopoly, Pepsi can somehow play around the prices as well as Cokes and somehow play around the prices, but in a slight manner. Okay. Also we have what? Also we have monopoly. So monopoly here, profit are being maximized, and then they can charge their own prices as much as they want, even though they know that prices are being regulated, you'll be having price ceiling there, but you find that they reach that ceiling. But even in some extent, you find that they even pass the ceiling, even though it is not easy for businesses to pass the price ceiling or the ceiling or the maximum price that have been set by the government. Remember, price ceiling, we refer to maximum prices that have been set by the government. Okay, right, grade 12. So now we also have the demand curve. So now the demand curve, under our demand curve under competition, it is horizontal, meaning perfectly elastic. So now what does it mean when you say perfectly elastic? We check the responsiveness of consumers towards quantity demanded after the price change. So now it means when it's perfectly elastic, it means that even if the price can change, consumers still come in larger numbers to come and consume or buy the product. So now also here, I said it that this one is downward sloping, and also we have what? We have oligopoly. Oligopoly, I told you the demand curve is what is kinked. And also we have what? We have monopoly. Monopoly, the demand curve is what? Downward sloping. And I did give a reason why it is downward sloping. So now we have long run economic profit. So now in the fair competition, long run economic profit, it is zero. What does it mean? It means that in the long run, there will be a lot of businesses that have joined the market. So now if there are a lot of businesses that have joined the market, now it means that now businesses now are going to share those customers. Now they are no longer going to make that much huge profit. So now also in the monopolistic competition, the same manner, in the long run, businesses are going to make what? They are going to make a normal profit. They are just going to be normal, or they are going to not make economic profit. So now we also have oligopoly. Oligopoly, we are saying that it is positive. It can be positive. It means that in the long run, you still make economic profit. And also under monopoly, in the long run, you still make some economic profit, because there's no total number or that large number of competitors. So now we have decision making. Under decision making, we are saying that under fair competition, decisions have no impact on other suppliers. This is actually why it's because of profit driven. So now we also have what? We also have monopolistic competition, use price measures to influence consumers' decisions, and then also you have the level of dependency on each other under oligopoly, and then also under monopoly they decide on production levels. So now let's check examples of fair competition. Here in South Africa, we have in international commodity markets, oil, gold to farmers, and also remember I said you can as well have Johannesburg Security Exchange. So now monopolistic competition, we have fast food outlets, clothes, cars, and then also under oligopoly we have cell phones. Also we have banking market, and then under monopoly we have the likes of what? We have the likes of the word ESCOM. Okay, so now grade 12s. Yes, okay. So now grade 12s, in this regard, we are going to discuss the issue of what? We are going to discuss the issue of graphing. For today, let's for now, let's end here for now. But now in the next lesson, we are going to proceed where we are going to discuss the issue of how to graph these curves. Okay, thank you very much. Shalom.